And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flighting down to SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. We've been sitting around waiting to see what SpaceX is going to do with this launch. Arabsat out there on the launch pad looking at Slick 40. Couple names for the mission tonight. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And I'll let somebody who can say it correctly the first time say it. John Galloway for NASASpaceflight here. I see lots of 5x5s in chat, indicating you should be able to hear the sound of my voice and see a rocket on the screen. It's been a while since I got to do this. So I need to remember all the steps. Okay, I did the introduction. I said the mission was going to be a thing. I named the pad. What else am I supposed to do, chat? Oh yeah, I'm not by myself tonight. I'm actually going to have some friends doing commentary here with me in the studio. Mr. Adrian Bile. Adrian, tell me you're on comms.
I am absolutely in comms. And one day we should actually have you alone here, so you could be like, yeah, I'm actually alone here. There's nobody to introduce. It's like just awkward silence.
No one helping me today. Back like in the old days. Jeez. Also, out in the field, braving the stormy weather at the Cape, we have Mr. Max Evans, who I believe is also on comms. Max, where you at?
Hey, good evening, everybody. I got you both loud and clear.
Nice.
We are, yeah, as you said, we have been battling with the rain for the last, I want to say 3 or 4 hours. It's very wet and soggy over here at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station tonight.
Excellent. Well, Max, thank you for rolling out there. A lot of storm systems coming through earlier this evening. Max was actually sort of huddled down in the vehicle from the viewing area over here. But right now, Max, you're outside and it's drizzling. Is it still drizzling? How are we looking?
Yeah, it's still spitting just a little bit. The cloud cover is still quite ominous, and there's quite a low ceiling over the pad right now, but the clouds are moving pretty quickly. So we're hoping that a window opens around 12:55.
All right, and SpaceX has tweeted that they are shooting for 12:55 p.m. Eastern time here. That's coming up in about 40 minutes, 41 minutes and 15 seconds as per the clock. But there's a rocket out there. There are lightning towers around the rocket. There are, I guess those are radar domes on the left-hand side there. But what is actually inside the rocket, Adrian? How is the rocket going to space, and what is it carrying?
It is carrying Arabsat 7B, which is a TV and telecommunications service satellite, which will provide service to Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. It is built by Airbus, and it's part of the new generation of Arabsat launch satellites, which is based on a new bus. It's a kind of funny name because this is 7B. 7A will launch later. So don't let that confuse you. But this is the next generation. We saw an Arabsat launching earlier on a Falcon Heavy a few months ago. But this is the next generation after this. And also what should be mentioned about this mission is the booster, I think, because this is its 14th flight for a custom mission, which I think it's a good and nifty amount of flights for this kind of mission. So that's also for note here.
14 flights, no kidding. So this is the 14th time that this rocket, this core, the booster, is taking payloads into space and hopefully returning again. We'll see if they go for 15. But back up. Hang on a second, Adrian. You said that this is Arabsat, 7 in the letter after it. I believe the letter was B. I thought we just saw 6A launch on a Falcon Heavy. Why did 6A need a Falcon Heavy, but 7B can go on a regular Falcon? Like, what's the difference between the satellites?
Yeah, this is based on a new Airbus NeoStar satellite bus, which basically will perform some of the orbital raising. And yeah, it's basically it's smaller, it's more capable. It only weighs, let me just check the correct number here, 4,500 kilograms to GTO, which is very much in the ballpark of what Falcon 9 can do. So, well, if it can be done by Falcon 9 with this new bus and this new system, why not do it on Falcon 9? And that's what they do. So yeah, it's an evolution in the Arabsats.
Did we get a tweet done for the launch, by the way? I think we did send a tweet out.
Yep.
We're supposed to. It's on the list of things we're supposed to do. I'll toss it into chat real quick if y'all want to like retweet it or whatever, and let folks know that we have decided to go live regardless of what SpaceX does this evening. There we go. Notifications for people that I have notifications turned on. There is Chris Bergen, and we are going to copy that and retweet it and paste the link into chat. There's the tweet right there. Hey, real quick, I was amiss when I started talking about the stream here because we've got Mr. SpacePat actually pulling the levers and making sure the lights are blinking correctly this evening. Patrick O'Loughlin, one of our new operators who's helping us make these streams happen. There, look at that. He even put his own face on the screen. Nice, Pat. Thank you so much for doing that, and I apologize for missing it during my cheeky intro. So, folks, if you're just joining us, you can be even more confused by looking in the upper left-hand corner. We've said that it's Arabsat 7B, but in the upper left-hand corner in the stream title, we've got it labeled BADR-8. What's going on with that, Adrian?
It's just an alternate name for this. It's I don't know how this came to be that it has different namings, but that's the alternative name for this mission. And yeah, it's just a very confusing naming. It's not, I would not even put it in my top 5 of most confusing space names, but it's definitely up there in the ballpark.
So that's what's going on, y'all. It's Arabsat. It is a communications, like a telecommunications TV satellite serving a specific area. To serve a specific area of the globe, where's it going tonight, Adrian?
Yeah, it's going to GTO, Geo Transfer Orbit, and after that will start to raise its orbit to be stationary about the area of Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. But the rocket will insert this to GTO. And it will take several months, actually, to raise its orbit then from GTO to GEO, where it then will be stationary over the area.
That one's it's an electric propulsion system, isn't it?
Yeah, it's powered by the huge solar panels. They provide 17 kilowatts of power, and yeah, they also supported with a huge improved battery system to also support propulsion during the night, the space night, if you want to call it like that. Yeah, but it's raising its orbit slowly but surely then over multiple months to GEO, and once it reaches GEO, it will be stationary over that area, which is so it will. It's not super precise today, I guess, with where it actually ends to be, which explains the big window. Because there's months of wiggle room where they can do adjust. So they have a 127-minute launch window today because they can adjust this. It's basically just get to GTO, and after that they will handle.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and we should say we already through like most of this window. The 127 minutes, most of that is already gone because of weather.
It's interesting stuff here, right? Like we talk about rockets and they're sending the satellite to orbit, and there's lots of different orbits that a rocket can send a satellite on. And today, Falcon 9 sort of giving the satellite a kick on its way. It's not delivering it all the way to its final orbit, but it's giving it a push. And then the second stage will let it go, and it'll do its own orbit raising out to its final thing. But anytime somebody says, oh, it's going to take a long time, right? When you're doing orbital maneuvers in Earth orbit and somebody says, oh, it's going to take a long time, it's going to spiral to the moon for 2 months, and this sort of thing, right? This one's not going to the moon. But that almost always implies electric propulsion because we have very interesting camera scenes there. Nice. Max, we may need to check the camera. Operating on battery power this evening, y'all. So if that battery hiccups, we may need to be jumping back and forth, making that camera stay alive. So Anyways, we're giving it a push tonight, and it's actually a push on its way. GTO is what it's called, right? It's a transfer orbit. And because it's a telecommunications, like a TV satellite that's bouncing TV signals down to a specific part of the Earth, it's not like a Starlink that's constantly orbiting and constantly over a different part of the Earth. They want it to stay stationary. They want it to stay sort of in the same place in the sky, so you can point your satellite dishes at it and get the TV that they're sending you, right? Give the programs that they're sending you. So it's geo. It's a geo. Is it synchronous or stationary, Adrian?
Stationary.
Stationary. So it's got a stationary is where it's supposed to eventually end up. We'll confirm that just to make sure, because I'm just doing a random explanation now. But electric propulsion. Go ahead.
It's a 26-degree Earth slot in the geostationary Earth orbit.
Thank you. So it's just sort of defining the spot in the geostationary. It's almost like a parking slot, right? They have degrees, and satellites get, what's the right way to say it? Assigned degrees. It's like you're assigned parking slot so that all the satellites aren't in one place, but it's going to go up there and park in its stationary orbit and serve satellite down to the places that it's serving. Yeah, like there it is. People are saying, like DirecTV, keep liking. Oh, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Some questions real quick.
I just like, it's the funny thing, the satellites for television is actually my first contact with space ever without even noticing. Because I remember on my old TV back when I was a child, I had to scan for programs. And I remember seeing like weird names flashing up, and now know these were satellites that the TV was like talking to get to these programs.
You know, the interesting thing, if you look at the Arabsat Twitter feed, they actually have information on how to point your satellite dish and tune into some of their satellites. And they tweet it out. They've got like a little infographic that says, you know, this polarization and this degree, you know, where to point your satellite dish. I saw that on their Twitter while I was sort of researching the stream. And I thought that was very interesting. I didn't know that people were still doing that these days. I thought, you know, the internet just magically brought you programs to your house, but apparently we're still pointing satellite dishes in places. So, it's kind of
impressive, right? That you can point the antenna at your roof to an object more than 35,000 kilometers away and receive a signal from it. I think that's kind of impressive.
I think you just like aim the satellite dish at the sky and listen to it beep, and the faster it beeps, the better lock you have. I seem to recall that's sort of how it works, but anyways. Where are we at? We're just coming up on 30 minutes here. Again, we heard that SpaceX was shooting for 12:55. I assume that somebody's going to scream at me on the back channel if that gets changed as well. But they very well may make this slip back a little bit further. SpaceX was waiting. Bad weather earlier today, not something they wanted to launch through. The window opened just before 11:30, so almost right about an hour ago from right now.
Yeah, we have clear indications there will be another slip because the mission control audio is not live yet, which is always an indicator something is maybe up. And also we cannot see like any vapors on the LOX tank, anything that indicates fueling. And at 31 minutes before T0, we should be in fueling. So yeah, this is probably not going at the time that is going on. Right now, we're waiting for SpaceX to confirm a new launch time. But there's a pretty good amount of confidence that they will slip a bit further and go later into the window.
Good deal. All right, so we're going to wait until we get an official tweet or something from SpaceX. Our countdown clock's going to keep counting down right now, but we do not think that it is going in 30 minutes. It's going in, 30 plus some number of minutes, because we're not hearing that mission control audio that we hear sometimes, and we're not seeing the vapors that indicate that they've begun moving fuel around the rocket. So we imagine that T-0 time is going to change. As soon as we get official word from SpaceX, we'll update it up there. So just stand by while we get that. But we'll see. Well, we're going to hang out with y'all and just continue answering some questions and stuff. I got one for you, Adrian. You want a question?
Yes.
All right. What are we doing tonight? Are we RTLS? Are we drone ship? Or are they just throwing it into the ocean?
I can first the good news, they're not throwing it into the ocean. This will land on just read the instructions stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. So no RTLS because it's a fairly heavy satellite for GTO. So there's not a lot of energy required from the rocket, and that leaves less energy for return to launch site. But they will try to land this booster on just read the instructions for the 14th time. So yeah, looking exciting. There we
Clayton
go.
Newland, that answer goes out to you. I saw that you put it in chat like 15 times. You don't have to spam your question over and over. We actually have this nifty software that pulls questions out. All you have to do, Clayton, is tag us one time. At NASASpaceflight, it goes into the software. It was a good question. Is it RTLS or drone ship tonight? But you don't have to spam the question over and over and over again. I saw it. I had it flagged as when we start answering questions, we'll get that one in there. Just please don't spam the questions. Let's see here. Some other questions. Here's a good one. Oh, I can do this one because I read through this one a lot. Question from the man, I guess. What does BADR stand for? And I don't actually know if I'm even pronouncing it correctly, but apparently it's a location. And it is named after a location that has some significance for I guess in Arabic. I'm not sure exactly the right way to say that, but it's not an acronym. It's not an initialism where it's like, oh yeah, the something something satellite bus or whatever. It is actually a location name is the best that I could find. I couldn't find something from Arabsat that said exactly what the history of it was. It may have been there, but I just don't read Arabic or anything. But it is a location name, and I imagine that is what they do because they also refer to the slot, the geosynchronous slot, as like the better slot at 26 degrees, almost as if that's a location as well. So I really was looking around to try and answer that for you. I can tell you it's not an acronym or anything like that. If I had to guess, I think it is a location of significance to Arabsat, and that is where that name came from. I apologize if I didn't pronounce it correctly or exactly explain that. I really did look trying to see what the answer was. And funny story, I actually asked ChatGPT why it named it that, and it came back with all this stuff, and then I asked it, "Are you sure?" And it answered, "Well, actually, I don't know the reasoning of the person that named this, so all I can do is guess." And I was like, "Okay, good little large language model. Thank you for not being a good source." So, anyways, let's see here. Got a couple super chats and other forms of support coming in over here. Let me grab some of those for people real quick. Grax with some fantastic support here, talking about the cool video we put out the other day. I appreciate you, Grax, saying that you liked our mega Starship video that came out. We did a 55-minute video explaining in depth and sort of exploring, not just like everybody else does, like, oh, I'm going to guess and look at these images and stuff. I actually did some experiments in the backyard. It sprayed a piece of his grout mix with a pressure washer. So if you haven't seen that video yet, we'll link it up in chat. Grax, thank you so much for watching that whole thing. Grax says, dude, it rocked, man. Anybody else seen that? Like, has anybody else seen it? Eric Fraser was late to tonight's stream because you were watching it. NRT Cell says the vid was awesome. Oh, there's a concrete command for it. Nice.
I love that it's concrete. That's the perfect.
Oh, anyways, if you haven't seen that, give it a look. We spent a ton of time on it. We spent a month actually before we let that video come out to make sure that we could do everything and explain things in common terms that folks can understand instead of, I don't know, pretending that I'm an engineer who has all the answers. Like, I don't know, I just wanted to go spray a pressure washer in my backyard. Super chats and supports. Courtney Anderson, thank you so much for becoming a pad rat. Jim Cavett gifted a red team membership a little while ago, like when the window was first opening, it looks like. Super Steph gifted a red team membership as well. It looks like we got a gift train going. Moldy Space Industries, thank you for gifting a red team membership. How you doing, Moldy? We've got Jim Cavett gifted another red team. The Cap Lee fan and Batman. I do not get that reference. Cool.
I cannot help you there either. I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to put you like there, Adrian. I wasn't even going to ask you. So, yeah. Kepley Fan and Batman, thank you so much for becoming a Pad Rap member. Super Steph gifted 5 more red team memberships. What is this? Some sort of contest? Methane Man gifted 10 red team memberships after that. And then we got our first super chat from the evening. This one coming from Mans on Mars, saying, how far into development is Starship HLS? Adrian, have any inside information? I can have some, but I talk a lot.
Well, I would say they're still in the phase of proving the general vehicle. It doesn't look like there's probably some development behind the scenes about life support and everything, but SpaceX has not really communicated that much about that publicly. So we only would have to guess. But the main thing that is developed right now for the Starship HLS is the more the front-focusing get this thing to launch part of the vehicle. And once that is done, they will probably focus on life support, on the special HLS version and everything. But yeah, not really a weekly update from SpaceX on this.
Gotcha. Real quick, breaking news, SpaceX giving us a new T0 here. Tweet says, team is resetting the countdown clock to the end of the launch window due to weather. Now targeting 1:22 a.m. Eastern time for liftoff. So we're going to reset our clock there. Oh, well, there it is. It's already reset. T-minus 50 minutes now. We figured that was going to slip back a little bit, but we'll hang out with you. We'll answer questions. Hopefully you think that we're interesting to listen to. I don't know.
Can I be very German here?
Sure.
Technically, that's not the end of the window, SpaceX. The window goes for 10 more minutes after that.
Interesting.
It's 11:25 for a 127-minute launch window, according to their website, which would be 1:32.
Well, I wonder if they're targeting 1:22 a.m. or if they're targeting 1:32 a.m. Like, who do you trust? The end of the window or the 1:22 a.m.?
Yeah, just to be technical here, but just technically, the end of the window is not 1:22. That's at least according to their website.
According to their website.
Yeah. So interesting situation.
Well, we're going to hang out with y'all, even though it's 50 minutes away. We got views of the rocket. Hopefully you have batteries to maintain the views of the rocket. And we've got questions, we've got chat flowing, and we will continue hanging out. So again, repeating, weather delay now pushing the expected T0 to around 1:22 a.m. per SpaceX, close to the end of the window, just under 50 minutes right now. So let's see here what else we got going on. Oh my gosh. I'm actually looking for the first question about the lightning towers. Not exactly sure if I'm going to see those, but I'm sure I'll see when it's... Wait, no, it's right here. Hamster the Space Nerd 3000 said, my internet's not that good, so what are the 7 towers on screen? Hamster, bear with us while we go poke the camera, and I will count how many towers there are on the screen and try to explain what they all are. Men's on Mars, to hop back to your question real quick, we've seen some screens like Starship HLS, and it was like, oh, is that a Starship control screen or something like that? They were sort of in some tweets that went out, and I can also tell you that HLS is very excited and wants to tell people stuff. Like when we were back at Intrepid for Kids Week, they had a huge Starship model, and all of their stuff was about Starship. And they even had, you could like look in the little windows and try to see inside the model of the HLS Starship, but they didn't have any official information they could share yet. They're just trying to lean on that Starship hype as much as they can. So folks are working on it. Clearly, there's a long way before Starship's going to be flying, well, any sort of real cargo, much less human cargo, right? But I know that there are a lot of people that are very excited about what they see and can't tell us so far. So hope that answers your question, isn't too much of a cop-out. And thank you for the super chat.
I also can try to jinx this launch here hard right now because there's a potential record going on here in terms of pad turnaround, and I feel like just mentioning this will maybe turn this to worse. So right now the record for the Slick 40 turnaround is 5 days, 1 hour, and 16 minutes. If this launches, it would do this in 4 days. Let me just do some quick math, about 23 hours. So that means it would beat the old turnaround record of this pad by 2 hours. Of course, this only happens if they launch at the end of this window. But they in theory could be on track for smashing the pad record today. Well, not smashing, but reducing it.
Nice.
And I feel
Edward-
like that increases the jinxing chance here right now.
Gotcha. Edward Clark, I saw the question, are they behind schedule? Yes, SpaceX has slipped this back. It's tough to say they're behind schedule because they did have a just over 2-hour launch window, and they're still inside that window. They haven't scrubbed for the night, but we are waiting, and right now the last time they gave us was about 46 minutes away from now. So continuing on. There we go. All right, counting towers. I see 4 lightning catenary towers. Towers that lightning's not supposed to strike, but they hold up wires that carry the energy of the lightning to the ground. You can actually see up at the top the sort of wires strung between the towers. And if you looked at it down from the top, there's a hole in the middle of the wires for the rocket to go through, right? But it's interesting. I always thought the lightning was supposed to strike those towers, like the white part at the top of the tower, and it's not supposed to. It's supposed to strike the cables that form like this protective cage around the rocket and carry the energy down to the ground. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff about how those towers work. But I also see a rocket in the middle. I'm not sure if you're counting that as 1 or 2 towers because you have a Falcon 9 fairing sticking up above the transporter erector, the sort of strong back there that sort of we see in the background. That's a building on the left-hand side. I don't know that that one's a tower. I believe that that's one of the old processing buildings over at the Causeway. Those are 2 radar domes of some sort. And then I also see a lamppost. The dark
Yay,
one. There.
Post.
Yeah, that's a lamppost. I didn't count those. I didn't see if that was 7 towers or not. But I hope that gave you a good view of all the towers that are on the screen right now. Thank you for the question.
And this concludes the tower count.
This concludes tonight's tower count. Tonight's tower count is brought to you by viewers like you.
Ah.
Do you mean on this fleet cam screen? Where there's 7 towers on the fleet cam screen, and those are the lighting poles at the fleet cam screen?
Are cranes technically towers?
I don't know. It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
Maybe Hamster Space Nerd, if you were asking about the wider port shot, those are light posts. I thought I was joking with the light posts. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see 10 of those. Anyways, whichever ones you're looking for. Oh, Twitch chat is saying cranes are towers if they're tower cranes, Adrian.
Okay, fair. I have no idea what tower cranes are.
Cranes that have a central pillar post,
Oh.
and then they have the crane attached to the top of that, as opposed to one of the big cranes, like a crawler crane we see at Boca, where there's the huge tank tread thing, and then it sort of goes up in an A-frame sort of gantry setup, right? Like that would not be a tower crane because that does not have a central post that the crane is on.
Got it. Cool.
I don't know. That's what I'd go with.
That.
Yeah. Now you know. We need like a rainbow star that goes across the screen when we say now you know.
Yeah, the more you know.
Maybe we don't need that.
But we could.
Oh, Adrian, I think you could talk about this one for a second. What goes into a pad turnaround, and why does it take several days to turn around the pad?
Oh, there's many things.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing you have is the obvious thing. You have to get a rocket there, which means you have to roll back the transporter, pick up the new rocket, put it on the transporter, roll it out, and get it into launch position again. That's the obvious part. But there's also the refreshing of commodities needed for launch, because you need RP1, you need liquid oxygen, you need usually some nitrogen. You need things to support this. So that also goes into this. Then you also have things such as drone chip availability if you're talking about Falcon 9's landing, because you not only need to make sure that you can launch it, but you also, usually with Falcon 9, need to make sure that you can land it. So there's multiple pacing factors that determine if you can even launch and if you can do this record. It seems... Well, you also have the situation, do you need a static fire? Because some missions and some boosters require static fires, which also gives you another time you need because you need to fuel the rocket, static fire, and completely detank it again, which also costs time. So it's basically a whole process of different stages and different things that have to work together to make sure that they can do this quick turnaround time. And to be fair, 4 days is pretty impressive, and even 5 days. That's a very impressive time for getting a rocket ready to launch after the launch, because they will also usually perform some inspections. There's just like there's a rocket launching on this infrastructure, so you want to make at least sure that
We may have some audio problems currently. Actually, maybe more than audio problems. Stand by.
I'm standing by.
All right. I think we have cleared this up here. Chat, we got 5x5 again. Let us know what the deal is, and we will see what we get. Yeah, it's like 3x5, 5x5, up and down, back to 5x5. I don't want to do a bunch of explanations if we're having some hiccups, so give us just a second. Hey, if you can hear us, tell them in chat to refresh. Like if folks need to refresh. Yeah, there you go. Got tons of 5x5s now. All right.
That's good.
Ticking along, I guess. Well, hey, Adrian, let's just keep talking.
Yes.
The hamsters are running their hearts out, trying to make the bit rates flow from the servers to the other servers so that they can end up on your own place, your own computer. So let's keep asking this. What's going on? Let's see here. More questions. Here is one. Hey, this is actually a really good question. Sam Boyd asked, everyone always says bus, like when you were explaining the satellite bus, right, Adrian? What does that
Yes.
mean? Like, is it like a bus that you load a bunch of satellites in and then you take them to space and they get off the bus at like a satellite bus stop? What does that actually mean?
Well, I think the metaphor kind of works, but not like with satellites. It's more like a platform to perform certain things. So a bus usually includes propulsion, some computers, some electrical systems, some solar system. It basically is a platform where you can upload what you want to and like install maybe instruments you want to. But it's kind of like a foundation to launch a satellite to space. It's already proven technology, so you don't have to redesign like the communication, the energy, and the propulsion every time you launch a mission. You can just buy the bus, upload the software you need, and then use it for different kind of purposes. There have been all kinds of different kind of buses that can just multi-purpose into different things based on what you install on them and what instruments you attach to them. So yeah, you can. It's kind of a bus, but more for like software and purpose than for satellites.
The idea is you don't want to like reinvent the wheel every single time, right?
Yes.
There's commonalities to the design, things that a satellite needs. Like your car, right? You want to build a car, you need wheels. You need, I guess, some way to power it. You can't say you need an engine anymore, but you need electric motors or an engine or something, right? You need seats to sit in. You need doors to close. You need a windshield so you don't get bugs in your teeth or whatever. All these common things that cars need to do what cars want to do, right? And satellites are the same sort of way. You need communications. You need power. You need framework, place to mount sensors and antennas and stuff like that. You need attitude control, control moment gyros or thrusters or whatever it is, like all these common things. And so why reinvent the wheel every single time you want to make a new type of satellite, or upgrade your antennas, upgrade your software, upgrade your electronics on board, whatever. So I think that's a good way to explain it. But anyways, that's a really good question. Like sometimes we just use terms like that. Well, like we'll say, oh, a bus or whatever. And if you don't understand a word we say, always feel free to tag us in chat at NASASpaceflight and ask us what it means. So let's see here. How are we looking on weather? T-minus 36 minutes. Max, I don't know if we've got Max on comms, but Max reports there may be some venting noises happening. And look at this. Here is the weather clearing up. Look at that nice, I'm not going to say hole in the clouds, but at least hole in the precipitation.
Yeah, it might be one of these situations where, yeah, it just clears up perfectly for the end of the window. So
Cool.
maybe
Max.
we got lucky.
Let's check in with Max. Max, how you doing out there?
I'm feeling much better now. The cloud ceiling has seemed to raise a little bit. We're getting a bit of a western breeze, and actually, I just heard some venting over from the pad maybe about a minute ago. So, looks like propellant loading operations may soon be underway.
Excellent. Well, let's look for the cascading frost and vapors coming down from the bottom of the rocket. Usually we'll see them down low first. Transporter erector's in our way a little bit from this angle, but so it goes when watching from the causeway over there. But Max, if you hear any noises or you see something with your Mark 1 eyeballs that we might not be able to see on the camera, let us know, all right?
Absolutely. Will do.
Hop in any times.
And just to add to that, if they go for the time we right now have displaced, then this would mean that in 1 minute they would start RP1 loading. So just to we don't exactly know if they're still like there's this bit of confusion about the timing, but if they go for the time we display right now, it would be in 35 seconds. And we just confirmed launch auto sequence has started and prop load is underway. So that means we are really, and also this means we are locked in now. Falcon 9 has this specific situation. Once you start to fuel it, you're locked into a specific amount of, like a specific T0. They cannot wiggle anymore. They cannot hold again because they don't have enough time to recycle. So this is now locked in. We have a T0 and they either go there or don't go today at all.
Good deal. All right, so you can see on the timeline there, things sort of marching forwards. We're going to mark those things off as we go through the rest of the countdown timeline. A lot of different steps. The next big visual step we're going to see is that T-minus 20-minute vent. But in the meantime, keep a lookout on the rocket. Like, look for the vapors sort of cascading down off the side of the rocket as they get those super cold propellants, the cryogenic propellants, densified, right? The colder you get those things, the more you can stuff inside of your rocket. They're so cold that they'll condense the Florida humidity. They'll freeze it onto the side of the rocket in the form of ice, and they'll also make sort of like vapors cascade off the side of it as well. That's just how cold that stuff is and how they affect all the humidity that's in the air. So be on the lookout for that. If you see it, call it out in chat, and I am going to keep on stamping through questions here. Squish Chin, thank you so much for the resub as well over there. Appreciate you. More questions. Here's one. The Law did a super chat and said, SpaceX nuclear Starship engine coming to Transmars injection orbit anytime in the long-term foreseeable future. You know something, Law? That one is way out there. I don't even think we've seen SpaceX do anything in that direction. I know a lot of people think that it's very interesting, but step one, let's get a Starship into space. Above the Kármán line's a good first step. I bet you next time they go, they get that thing all the way into a mostly orbit. But they're going to get there. They need to do a lot of things with Starship before they're going to be certified to put a nuclear engine on it and get it into space. Good question. A lot of people are really interested in it, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Appreciate the support, though. I got the bus question. I did that. Here's one I can hit real quick. Let's see here. This question is about, does it also mean all engines have 14 flights? So we were talking about the booster that's doing this push into space today has 14 flights under its belt. It's taken 14 payloads, second stages, yada, 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 on their way to space. That doesn't necessarily mean that all the engines have flown 14 times, and we don't get a lot of information from SpaceX, nor can we observe that from the outside really easily, right? So even though the core is numbered, and we can look at the number on the side of the core, and we can make sure that it is a thing, that doesn't mean that we can see every serial number on every single engine. So we can't really say, and SpaceX hasn't told us exactly how that works. We think sometimes they may need to swap an engine out. We know for sure that they do inspect them and make sure there's hoses blown off or whatever problems are. I mean, it landed fine, so unlikely things like that had happened, but we don't get a lot of specific information on the exact refurbishment or replacement or reconditioning or whatever that they have to do, down to like an engine bell level. So 9 engines on the Falcon 9, but we can't tell you exactly how many times each one of those engines have flown on this or other rockets. So anyways, another really good question there. Let me get one more question. We did the drone ship versus RTLS. It's not RTLS tonight. It's going on the way out to a drone ship. Adrian, you back with me? I may not have Adrian, but he'll be back shortly.
There's this thing called a mute button.
There we go.
In Discord, and apparently, if you click it, people don't hear you.
Talking while muted, right? It used to be
Yes.
nice because when you talked in TeamSpeak, it would literally respond to you and tell you were muted.
It still does that. I tend to do that during my World of Warcraft raids. I always hear that sound. It's funny.
Your World of Warcraft raids, nice.
I'm older than people think. I love this game.
All right. So, folks, look, a lot of the times we're here and we're like saying, hey, thanks for the support. And y'all do something like you'll do a chain where everybody gifts 1 sub or something like that. And then all of a sudden there's 10 or 15 or 20 new people that get access to some of our subscriber perks and stuff. And y'all do that. It's like a game almost where y'all are supporting us, and it helps us out because we're able to pay the bills and we're able to keep doing coverage and getting cameras go and all this sort of stuff, right? And a lot of the times we never feel like we can say thank you enough to people. But this evening, we are going to feel especially silly because coming through our custom tip system, it doesn't have to be a YouTube super chat, right? You can actually go to tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Is it tips.nasaspaceflight? There's a command for it. Put the command in chat for me real quick. You can go over there. You don't have to have the YouTube account, give YouTube money or anything like that. You can send support directly to us. And tonight, someone with the name Clever Girl, seems like a raptor sort of thing, via our direct tip system that goes directly to us, another option to support us, said, you've got this, and sent us $1,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What do you say next? What? Oh my goodness.
Nothing. What are you supposed to say? Like, there is not a single set of syllables that we could string together as words to convey appropriate thanks for that. It just leaves, look, help us out, chat. What? Wow.
Yeah.
Clever Girl, whoever you are, go, Adrian. Good grief.
Yeah, I recognize the name from our downstairs Discord, actually. And it's very generous, and wow, I am legit speechless, and it really helps us out. I know we say that, but it's so true. I'm without words.
I thought you were going to say I recognize that name from Jurassic Park, but then I realized you probably wouldn't recognize that from Jurassic Park because
absolutely not.
Have you not seen Jurassic Park, Adrian?
He hasn't seen anything, Max.
Oh
I have
my
not
gosh.
seen Jurassic Park. I'm sorry.
Seriously, Clever Girl, the thing that I always have to fall back to, because there's nothing that we can say for that amount of thanks, is thank you for trusting and believing in what we do. That is a ridiculous amount of support, just off the chain, over and above what we would ever expect anybody to have to do. One person, one little gifted sub here, one little thing here, a little super chat or something. You just like in the stream or whatever, all different ways that folks can support us. But $1,000 to our direct tip page. Thank you for putting your trust in NASA Spaceflight so we can keep doing this and we can keep sharing these sorts of experiences with people. Just thank you.
That is exactly what helps to keep us going. And
it is.
We are eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it really is. Just thank you so much for supporting what we do and believing what we do and trusting that we're going to turn that back around into more coverage and more cool things and sharing more awesome space experiences with people all over the world. You're awesome. The best thing we can do is continue on here and continue answering questions, continue talking about the rocket. It's always tough. Like, we don't want to just make it a thank you show, like, thanks for calling the telethon. But we got to give some specific time to that. Clever girl, thank you so much. Let's keep on looking here with the launch currently 25 minutes away. Per the SpaceX clock, see if we're going to get a Falcon 9 carrying a communications satellite for Arabsat. Arabsat 7B, also known as BADR-8, on the way to space today. Thank you for the support. Oh, yeah. Yes,
perfect-
Jack's saying we have to make Adrian watch Jurassic Park now.
They
second that.
actually made me watch The Fifth Element in Boca. I can confirm that, and I liked it.
It's one movie per orbital launch. Like,
Yeah, it's like
every time Starship tries to launch, you have to watch a movie, Adrian. How's that?
I like that. But yes, I there's actually I think a review of me in like our Discord where I give like impression after The Fifth Element.
So we were all blown away by the generosity in chat. Look at the rocket. Remember how we talked about I know. We talked about the Florida humidity, all that moisture in the air down there that normally makes you want to feel like you need a shower as soon as you walk outside into the soup. But being affected by the cryogenic propellants in the rocket, and we see cascades coming off the side. It's not the rocket leaking, it's literally the cold skin of the rocket holding the cryogenic fluids inside, interacting with the Florida humidity down there. So there is our checklist, our countdown timeline of things that are continued to march forwards. But SpaceX, here towards the end of the window, looks like they're going for it. Neat.
I like that.
Max, real quick question from Loopy. How you doing, Loopy? How's the sky looking out there? Is this going to be a rocket thump where we see it for 7 seconds, then it goes disappearing into a cloud, or how's the sky looking?
You know, thankfully, no. It looks like we will be able to track it for a good way up in the sky because the ceiling looks pretty high today. My guess is we'll see it for maybe around a minute, maybe a little bit less. But we should see it for more than 7 seconds. I can confirm that. If it holds the way it is now, which is much better than it was, say, an hour ago.
All right. Well, do you see any stars? I don't want to jinx it, but can you see like stars through the clouds?
Unfortunately, no, I can't see any stars. I see some clouds, like very scattered clouds at low level, but it's a very high ceiling right now. But unfortunately, I cannot see the night sky.
Okay. All right. Good deal. That is fantastic. Hopefully it's not just like you know what I'm talking about when the ceiling's really low and the rockets go.
I know all too well what you're talking about. Yes. you see it clear the lightning towers and that's it.
It's like, where'd it go? Beats Vandenberg though. East Coast, Best Coast. Actually,
East Coast, Best Coast.
I honestly like the Central Coast, the Third Coast, but whatever.
It's a Central Coast?
Grew up there. Yeah, Texas. Adrian, you were just there.
You were just there for IFT, Adrian. Come on.
Yeah, for IFT.
Is that called the Central Coast?
Yeah, I mean, Central Coast, Third Coast, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, then I have to agree. I give it to that coast because I've not seen the other one, so I give it to that one.
Star Coast. You should have looked down.
Yeah.
When you flew over back to Europe, you should have looked down and you could have seen the East Coast if you wanted.
I saw it, I think. And also I want to point out that Alex proposes the name Star Coast in the back channel, and I want to deny that as hard as I can.
Oh my gosh. Wait, hang on a second. Chat, help me out real quick. Are there ads playing occasionally? I saw a couple people. Whoever's in charge of that, turn the ads off, please. Can we literally just for this stream just turn the ads off? There's a ridiculous amount of generosity. Go uncheck the box so that they don't play an ad at T plus 18 seconds or something like that. If that's something we could do, there's a checkbox that the support has been so ridiculous tonight. I think that we can just uncheck that box for the stream, if you don't mind.
Buy ads.
Yeah. A couple people, some people haven't gotten ads. Some people said they got ads. We got a thing where it was like going through. There we go. Kevin got it. Done, KMR. Thank you, Kevin. The support was so ridiculous. Like, what can we do? Let's turn that one. Let's turn it off tonight. I think we can do it, right, y'all? Yes, Doss.
Oh,
Y'all can
sorry.
answer me. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, yes. Hey, so the next thing coming up here, folks, we need to be paying attention to the screen. SpaceX seems like they're going for it. And we are getting about 60 seconds away from that T-minus 20-minute vent. Adrian, tell us what we've won when we see a T-minus 20-minute vent on the screen.
We won that they are preparing. So basically, they're purging some lines. They're preparing some fueling preparations for second stage LOX load, actually, which starts at 16 minutes. So this is the event that basically precludes them starting to second stage LOX load at 16. And also we won that the countdown is still going. Like, we understand the Falcon 9 countdown at this point so good that we know based on some vents that the countdown is still going good.
Yeah.
So
here we go.
That's
Look,
the event we want to see.
is it going to happen? Let's see if it's right on time here.
Yeah,
Like-
put the stakes very high, right? Because if it doesn't happen now.
I mean, the timeline says
goes.
20 minutes and
There
20
she
seconds.
goes.
Oh, spoilers, Max.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no!
Oh, there
There it is. Oh my gosh. That was
I saw
right.
it first.
We get,
I win.
yeah, we get Max's audio in real time, but the video, because of the bonding and stuff like that, comes in a few seconds afterwards. So Max says, yeah, there it is, and it takes a few seconds for us.
That's
Spoilers,
literally
seriously.
cheating.
And that marks stage 2 RP1 load complete. So we check it off on the list, and that is a perfectly normal thing. Now this isn't cascading off the side of the rocket. This actually is a purge sequence where they're blowing through the lines, they're cleaning out the lines in the transporter erector there, they're chilling things down for that stage 2 LOX load. So this is sort of an intentional leak. Like, the word leak implies that it's an accident or it's not supposed to be leaking, but they're intentionally letting those lines purge. They're intentionally flowing that cryogenic fluid, liquid, gas, whatever, through the lines there, and that is an intentional thing. And when we see it happen right there at just over T-minus 20 minutes, that means that SpaceX is clicking towards a launch. So, all right. Let's see here. Grab some more questions. How about we grab some more questions real quick?
Yes.
I got that one. I got Loopy's. I just didn't show it on the screen. Sorry, Loopy. But we hopefully will see the rocket in the sky. What did we do with our Starship camera van? It is in storage right now. We secured it off in an area, and we put it sort of in storage, I guess you could say. We're coming up with ideas on what we might do with it, but we also have some other ideas out at Starbase. So, Man on Mars, good question. Let's see here. Travis Cecil, here's one. I like this one. The 4 go, no-go poles. So if lightning strikes one of the 4 go, no-go poles, that means you are no-go for launch, right, Adrian?
That's absolutely true. It's not even it's not even required actually to strike one of the poles, because there's a rule that even as lightning is in the area, they are not allowed to fuel.
Like a radius, right? Like within some distance or something, right?
Yeah, we actually watched that before the stream, because there was a lightning strike like 5-6 kilometers away from the pad, and that could have been one reason why they slipped further, because they need to wait a certain amount of time after a lightning strike before they are allowed to fuel. So that might be one of the reasons why this slipped a bit further. And it's of course because you don't want to tank your rocket and then have, let's be real, there's not a lot better ignitions than a giant lightning strike. So
that makes sense. Like, you don't, especially the electrical systems as well. Like, the towers are there to protect the rocket, but they do have a thing. Like, once the rocket launches, you wouldn't want, I don't know, the exhaust trail of the rocket to create a path that makes it easier for lightning to go down and the lightning to actually be attracted to the rocket, right? So you don't want it to leave the protection of the towers when there's still active lightning in the area. So there is an entire rule about that, like how close light. Oh, look at this.
Oh.
Speaking of lightning, there was a question earlier, is SpaceX still testing engines out at McGregor? Of course they are. We've got McGregor Live where you can watch actually a couple engine tests a day. You can even see the engine tests that are on these rockets. They did the stages test and they did the second stage test out there. But look at this shot that Adam Suger caught out at McGregor the other day. He was out there fixing a camera Like one of our McGregor Live cameras was down, and he was out there, and then got away from our communications tower because there was lightning in the area. But Adam's a storm chaser, and Adam set up the camera and captured this shot, seemingly like going all over the place out at McGregor. So that middle print is electrifying. Nice, Travis. That is available over the merch store. If you want something like that on your wall, it is another great way to support what we do and get some awesome art to make your wall not have, like, I don't know, what's on people's walls these days.
I don't know. I only have I have a few metal prints of NSF, and the rest of my walls are blank. I'm not very good with decorating my home, but I have metal prints for Vasset. I like them. I have one of Nick's shots behind me. Which,
See, I was going to make a joke about posters on a bachelor pad or something, but I'm married now, and my walls are all decorated like they should be. So all of a sudden I found myself not knowing what to say.
I actually can fill like my cliche here. I have a giant map of Middle Earth from Lord of the Rings in my floor. So
that's okay. All right, let's speedrun a couple things here real quick. Musical Wolves with a question: is the tower in the second? Oh, that was a question about that camera. We'll get the camera back in just a second. Musical Wolves. I think I can explain what you're saying. I think one of those towers is just blinking away from us, right? So when we have that camera back, we'll be able to talk about that. Here is one. Crafty Geek asked, how long does a propellant recycle take? Approximately how often do Falcon 9 launches have a sufficient window to accommodate at least one recycle? So they're talking about the longer windows where they may have an attempt and they have to hold or condition for some amount of time. Do you have numbers on that, Adrian?
I think Alex will fact check me here, but I think it was about 90 minutes. They actually, like, if they hold and want to go again, I think they need about 90 minutes. If
19,
I remember
like 9-0?
It is pretty significant amount of time they need to stop a countdown and start a new one. Falcon 9 is not really built for that. It's more once you're locked in rocket.
Gotcha.
So.
And we've seen that before.
Alex says 1 hour of detank plus 35 minutes to refill.
Gotcha. We've seen that before where there's like a short window and they can aim anywhere inside that short 30-minute window, but they only have one chance. Like once they get to that point in the count, they can't like recycle and go for it 10 minutes later, right? But this being a longer window this evening gave them the opportunity to, well, I mean, they were sort of pushing it in advance, so it's not really a recycle condition. But let's see what we have here. More questions. Oh, by the way, Crafty Geek, that was a tip as well. That was going through the direct tip system. So Crafty Geek, thank you for using the direct tip link there too. Jim also used the direct tip system and just said, wow. Thank you, Jim. We appreciate that. Exclamation being shared and punctuated with a couple dollars. Thank you so much for the support. Ryan Hamstra gifted a couple Red Team memberships. So Ryan, appreciate you there as well. Jeff Dinner? Jeff, I hope I got your last name right, or close enough at least. Thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships, sharing the membership program with some other folks here in chat. If you got one of the gifted memberships, like, say thanks if you want to. You don't have to, but you can say thank you to whoever gifted that membership to you in chat. So thank you, Jeff, for doing 5 more there. And then we've got Robbie Bradley asking, do you ever think we'll get solar sails like a certain episode of For All Mankind? Thanks for all you do. So, no, I'm not even going to read that part, Robbie. You don't have to apologize for the amount of support you get. You can click the thumbs up on the stream, and that is perfect. Like, however you can support us, whether it's just asking a question or retweeting something, like, don't ever apologize for the amount that you put in your support. That's like, I'm going to stick to my guns on that one. We may get to solar sails like that one day. We're not anywhere near there yet. We're still in our chemical propulsion land, but we're testing stuff like that. If you saw the light sail test that was done, and then some of these ideas about putting up a light sail and then firing a laser at it to help guide it. There's actually a CubeSat test that's going up, and they're putting holograms on the light sail, because then if you aim at different parts of the sail, you can sort of direct the trajectory of the rocket by having the holograms reflect light in a different way, right? I say reflect light in a different way. It's probably more complicated than that, but somewhere along those lines. So let's see what we get here. That was the solar sail question. There we go. Man on Mars says, you are colonizing Mars. Who would rather you have as your ally when you land? Protoss, Terran, or Zerg? Well, I hope that there are no Zerg there when we land. Hopefully we detect those from orbits. You can see the creep, which really makes it obvious where the Zerg are. Protoss, not sure they're very friendly to human. I have a lot in common with the Terrans. Plus, I know that the Terran life support and food and stuff supports me as a human being. So I'm going to go with Terrans, I think, if I was trying to colonize Mars, simply because the compatibility is there. How about you, Adrian?
I go with Terran or Protoss. Actually, something I know about. Terran or Protoss, and not Zerg. Definitely not Zerg.
Definitely not Zerg.
Out of two reasons. A, I don't feel they're very they're very connected to me, and B, they annoyed me way too much in online play, so I will not go with Zerg.
Plus, yeah, the Protoss would just be over there telling you you must construct additional pylons, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the Zerg would just occupy every space you have in like 2 minutes.
They would just make organic noises at you, and it's really hard to understand what they're saying. The communication's not there with the Zerg.
Yeah, it's just a very, very disconnected.
Good
very
question.
Niche commentary. We're getting feedback in the back channel. Very niche commentary.
We better get serious here because it's T-minus 10 minutes. Speedrun. Hamster Space Nerd 3000. Hashtag East Coast Best Coast. That's like your opinion, Hamster. Appreciate the support. We've got Dank Jeb with $50 saying the Great Lakes coasts are the best coasts. I mean, whatever floats your boat out there on the Great Lakes, Dank Jeb. Thank you so much for that. You see that? You see how I worked boat into lake there? Anyways, thanks for the $50, Jeb. We appreciate you. Hope you've been doing well. Another name we recognize. Space Ignorant gifted some Rep Team memberships. Newtopia Labs gifted some memberships. Jim Cavett gifted some memberships. Tracy gifted 5 memberships to all the gifted memberships there as well. Y'all are awesome. Okay, Adrian, 9 minutes. What about the mission were we supposed to talk about that we haven't yet?
I think we talked about a lot, but I think we can talk about the next step in the countdown if you want to.
Okay, let's talk about the next step of the countdown. Go.
Which will be engine chill, because they need to prepare the 9 Merlin 1D engines in preparation for the ignition, because you don't want to have your rocket engine unconditioned before you run through a lot of cold things through it. So that's what they do next. And then it's basically, from there on out, they will start to get this ready. Also, what we didn't mention a bit earlier is the spacecraft, the Arabsat 7B payload, is on internal power, which means it's no longer like connected to any ground servers and like connected to a power line that feeds it energy. It's completely on its own at this point. It's isolated. Everything works on its own, and basically it just waits for the mission to launch. That's the situation right now with the payload. And yeah, it's on there for a long ride, because it has a long ride to go.
All right, and look at the way the count goes. It's like 38 minutes. LD does some stuff. The LD is the launch director, y'all. 35 minutes, RP1. 35 minutes. Okay, and then all of a sudden, 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 4:30, 2:55, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 45. Like all these things start to like fall into place in the last few minutes of the countdown. And that is where we are right now, as we're 7.5 minutes away from launch. We're jumping around here, y'all. We're working on cameras and doing commentary, explaining things. If you're just joining us, or you hopped into the stream and you're like, why are these people talking about like tips and then Lord of the Rings and then Zerg versus Protoss? Like what? This is actually a SpaceX rocket launch that's happening this evening. We're NASASpaceflight. We do commentary like this, not official NASA, but our thing is we hang out. We have fun. We explain things in terms that people are able to understand. We take your questions live from chat. We like literally just look over here and read chat sometimes. We got some cool software. You can tag us at NASASpaceflight and ask us questions. But our whole thing is making spaceflight interesting for everybody. Like folks that just want to watch and hang out. We don't have scripts. It's not like we sit here and it's like, all right, at T-minus 8 minutes, we have to talk for 30 seconds about the solar panels on the rocket. Like, come on. Really? Usually when we talk about the solar panels on the rocket, it's because we read the article beforehand. And so we knew that we should talk about the solar panels because we went to the NASASpaceflight.com article. But that is what we do here at NASA Spaceflight. If you'd like our commentary, you want to hang out for launches like this, you can hop through and follow us here on the channel, turn on the notifications. That's a merch plug that's happening. I'm being forced into a merch plug. We have all sorts of different ways that you can support us. You've seen memberships and super chats and stuff coming through. You can get a shirt with a launch entry landing if you ever need to remember which engines you should fire during which stage of flight for a Falcon 9. We have merch for that right there in the shop. But across the board, however you support what we do, whether it's picking up a hat or a t-shirt or something, or just hanging out and chat here with us, we appreciate y'all being a part of this. We're sharing space experiences. Sounds kind of wonky, right? But it is what we do. We try to make experiences that people want to be a part of. So thanks for sharing this experience with us tonight, where we hopefully see some flames follow a SpaceX Falcon 9 into the sky. How was that, Adrian?
Hopefully.
We good? Yeah?
I like that. I really like that segment. And we are just 5 minutes away here. We are very, very close to a potential liftoff after waiting 2 hours for this.
Yeah.
Because it moved a bit around.
I think we got that stage 1 RP1 load should be complete at this time, right?
Yes. We are in that stage where basically they're wrapping up everything that is being fueled, and they're pressurizing the tanks for flight. Just to explain that part, engines need a certain pressure in the tanks to work. That's how they are constructed. So what they do is basically they fill it up and then they pressurize the tanks to a certain very specific flight pressure, and that's where they run the rocket on.
Look at this. Adrian, real quick, we can point out the second stage. You've got the fairing with the Arabsat logo there on the top, right? That's where the payload is. That's where the satellite is. Down below it, you see the frosty part that has that, literally, the vapor just streaming off of it. That is a visual indication that there are very cold liquids, cryogenic propellants in the second stage. The part right underneath the fairing, you can see the vapors coming off the side. Sorry, I saw that. It's such a great shot of that there from the tower cam with SpaceX. So I had to jump in and just, you could see that there is fuel in the rocket right now. And propellant, I should say.
It's these moments where you just realize that the very tip, like in that's the satellite. Everything else is just transportation. It's just the very tip, and also we just saw the strong back open here, which is nice.
3.5 minutes. It's going to retract a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit, and at launch it will go back more to go as far as away as it can from the rocket engines, because in the end these engines are fairly hot and have a lot of thrust. So you want to protect your ground infrastructure to not damage it during every flight, because you don't want to damage your ground infrastructure every flight.
Real quick, it sounds like we may have a hold from mission control here,
which means an abort.
At this point in the count, that would mean an abort.
Yep, and a hold automatically means an abort, and I hate to say this word, it automatically means a scrub for today. They cannot launch today.
Yep. All the way back here at the very end of the window, no time to recycle. Don't also know what the abort is for. But let's see if we get some more information on that. Again, we got that from the SpaceX mission control. Let's see if they tell us anything else. Sometimes we get information, sometimes we don't. But that is, y'all, an abort, a hold called, and at this point in the count, that hold would cause the mission to scrub for the evening.
Yep, there we see the official countdown clock also being paused.
Has stopped there at 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yep, and is that the moment where I should start to talk about the backup opportunity?
I think that's a great time to talk about the backup opportunity, Adrian.
There is a backup opportunity available on Wednesday, May 24, which is 20 hours from now.
That's today's Wednesday.
Oh yeah, okay. This is a weird situation where they are basically over midnight with the window.
Right.
Basically, they have a 24-hour recycle window with the same window tomorrow. Of course, that's the next part of this. We need to have confirmation why they scrub today. If it's weather related, they of course can try tomorrow again. That's like, if the weather is good, they can. Although the weather is also iffy tomorrow, so that's not great. But if it's a technical related scrub, they might need to investigate why there was a technical related scrub.
Yeah.
And then they need to investigate, and that could take more time than just 24 hours.
Yeah,
So,
and interesting, just to avoid confusion, you can see the SpaceX clock now says T-minus 15 minutes. That is just something that the system does. Yeah, ending the stream there is what's happening now. Quick, show us fleet cam, or yeah, the rocket was supposed to rise out from behind these trees at some point. But that is going to confirm, I guess, the stopping of the stream, that is a scrub for tonight. What do we say, Adrian? Say the words. Oh my gosh, seriously?
I'm blanking on the words. I know what I wanted to say.
You'd rather be on the ground wishing you were flying
Yeah.
than flying wishing you were on the ground.
I had the words in the mind for video games, like an unreleased game can be eventually good. A released
What?
game. Oh, there's
Those
an
aren't the
old
words.
saying about like you can always fix a game to be good and like whatever.
What?
Sorry, it's a very nerdy stream.
I'm gonna start giving you pop quizzes, and I'm gonna be like, say the words, the relevant words right now.
There's
Go
a
ahead.
saying in Germany that your math teacher will tell you, like, you have to notice if I wake you up at 2 a.m. I think that's a very equivalent of this.
I like it. You have to know, like, I am going to like call you at 2 a.m. and be like, say the words, or something like that. Whatever the reason is, y'all, there's lots of different reasons that rockets can scrub. Did we actually do a video on that? I think we did a video on that, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did a
Yeah, I
video.
think we
on
did it.
why
We did a video about historical scrubs and why they scrub and stuff. But anyways, there's lots of different reasons that rockets can scrub. SpaceX and the customer, SpaceX is in charge of delivering the customer's payload to orbit safely, and so SpaceX is the sort of the arbiter there. So if there was something that they didn't like, the clouds weren't quite right, electrical discharge in the area, like the lightning rule, I don't know that was it. I'm just guessing some different ideas, right? Things that can scrub launches. May have been something not healthy with the vehicle, some telemetry that was just out of parameter, out of family, you may hear him say sometimes. Whatever the reason is, you don't scrub rocket launches just for fun, and SpaceX knows. We'll usually get a tweet about it. And so we usually get like a little tweet from SpaceX sometime afterwards, and they'll confirm whether it was weather or whatever.
Apparently it was weather.
Did we confirm that it was weather?
Yeah, apparently it was confirmed that it was weather. Weather is the reason for the scrub today. And again, the situation tomorrow is not better. We have 25% chance of good conditions tomorrow.
Gosh. All right. Well, we will see what the deal is, but that is officially a scrub for the evening. You don't have to go home, but you could actually stay here. You could continue watching Space Coast Live if you'd like, but we are going to go ahead and begin spooling down our... Oh, look, a new order from the shop. It's the Up It Goes metal print. Nice.
It's a very nice one.
The one that the van sent us.
Oh,
it
yeah,
stayed
that's the
online. It
van.
got hit by concrete and it failed over to its backup connection, and it continued to send us data, and that print was sent to us from the van after it took all those hits from the concrete from the launch. Anyways, I think that we are now going to go ahead and shut down the stream. Let me see if I missed anything big real quick. We got those. Javier Olivas, one of those. Olivas, I'm going to go with. Did you guys hear about Matchbox releasing a model of SpaceX's Dragon capsule? Did you hear about that, Adrian?
No.
I thought I saw something. I know Estes did like a model rocket that was after a Falcon 9. That's actually pretty pricey, but I don't know if I saw the Matchbox design yet.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 inch tall. Same exterior details as the real life vehicle. Yeah, apparently it's being released. I didn't know that. Thank you for making me aware of that.
Well, this stream is not sponsored by Matchbox, unless...
No, this This was just me being curious. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much, Javier, for the support and the interesting information about Maxbox. And then lastly, James Putnam, becoming a PADRAP member here this evening. I think that got everybody out of the list there. I hate it when we like leave a couple and like that one person is like, oh, they didn't read my one thing. Sometimes we can't keep up with it. But hey, one more time, clever girl, wherever you are out there, thank you so much for the generosity this evening. Thank you for believing in NASA spaceflight and what we do. Earlier this evening, $1,000 of support coming directly into our tip system on our website. That is just a huge amount of trust and a huge amount of support being shared with us here. But that is going to end the broadcast this evening. Adrian, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Everybody, give a round of applause to Adrian Bile.
Thanks for having me, and I will, I think, take like another 1 or 2 hour nap.
You should. We need like a not like a laugh track, but you know, like a soundboard where I say, "Give a round of applause," and then that would be too much, I think, right?
We had that on the soundboard in Boca.
Don't tell anybody. We're gonna bring it out as a joke one day. Anyways,
I was not allowed to click these buttons.
Also out in the field, Max Evans doing some troubleshooting this evening. Max, don't know if we've got you on comms, but thank you for braving the weather this evening.
Yes, sir, I've got you. Confirming it looks like some clouds are rolling in at the very last minute, which very well could have been the very reason that Falcon 9 did not leave the ground tonight. So, but any night or any day over on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station is always a good day.
All right. So Max, again, that's Max Evans. Actually, on Twitter, if you can type out that Twitter handle, @_MGDE with another underscore at the end of it. Thank you for rolling out tonight and crewing this shot, the camera that's there. Back in the studio, Patrick O'Loughlin. Patrick is not on comms here, but pressing all the buttons this evening, making things work. There we go. SpacePat_O on Twitter. And lastly, y'all, my name is John Galloway. You may know me as Das if you're watching over on Twitch. But we will leave you not a successful launch this evening. Let's see if they recycle it for tomorrow. Whenever they do, the NASA Spaceflight team will be here to cover it and share it with y'all. Thank you for watching. Thanks for supporting us and just sharing this sort of stuff with us. And we will see you nerds later.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting down to SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange! Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?